Okay, it's 7 o'clock, so we'll call the meeting to order. You'll have an agenda in front of you. Any additions to the agenda? Hearing none, somebody wish to move the agenda? I'll pick Judy. You're pretty close, but try the next one though. Anyway, Judy's going to move the agenda. Any discussion on Judy's motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? It's carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to the minutes of the regular meeting of February 14th. Any questions, errors, omissions? If not, we'll entertain a motion. Barbara? Any questions or discussion on Barbara's motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? It's carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to the, I hope I'm not going too fast for you, Karen.
No.
Special council meeting of February 22nd. Any questions or on that one? If not, entertain a motion. Will? Thank you. Any discussion on Will's motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? And it's carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to the correspondence. There are 3 items there for the correspondence. Letter from the minister.
So the letter from the minister is just very straightforward. They did the budget. I'm sure you all had a chance to go in and see. There's nothing surprising from a municipal standpoint. The MSI, they stayed with the reduction that they had originally anticipated. They did extend, as you guys know, we did extend the MSI for 2 more years to their move to the fiscal framework. The federal gas tax, which is now transitioned to the community building fund, has remained the same as it was before. And yeah, they attended a webinar for the budget, and although it looks good for the province, there's still, from a municipal standpoint, still the same concerns with police funding, grant funding, those sort of things. No surprises in the letter.
Okay, any questions on that? Okay, hearing none, we'll move on to the Telus payphone letter.
So for those of you that aren't aware, this is the payphone that's in front of the old original Telus building. It was the last one in town. They removed all the rest of the payphones from throughout our community, and they're basing it on usage. It just doesn't get used, so they're just giving notice. And because they asked us to put out notice, Karen just put a notice on our website.
Okay, last one is the Lions Club project update.
And this one doesn't need motion or anything. In August of last year, the Lions Club had approached the town about doing a Christmas event where they do a toll road, just to raise funds and awareness for the Lions Club. It was approved at that council meeting to have assistance from the community peace officer for their program, but of course they had planned on doing it in October, and because of the way COVID went, they ended up canceling that event. And so Peter's sent me an email saying that they're looking to coordinate it with Spock Days. So this is more for council's awareness. It is approved, so Gabby's still going to help them out. They're still going to do it down on Main Street, right across from the mini park there in that intersection, and they're going to coordinate it right after the parade for Spock Days. So they should have, fairly good turnout of people there. And hopefully it'll be very successful. This was more just for the update, and if you guys had any concerns, then I could take them back to the club.
I have a concern because I have to do breakfast that morning. I really jumped up our day.
I did hear that. Yeah, I was going to go straight from breakfast to this event. I said that was really going to hamper the cleanup process on breakfast, I would think. But hopefully it's a good success for the club.
Yeah, for the town.
Any questions on any of those 3? If not, entertain a motion. Richard? Correspondence for information. Any discussion on Richard's motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? It's carried. Thank you. And move on to current business, MPC, Member-At-Large.
As you've all been able to read the report, Sue Dow's term has come to an end on the MPC, and she did not want to sit for another 4-year term. So we advertised the position. We received 1 qualified. I did put 1 qualified. We did receive 2. The other one was from out of town, so really it doesn't fit the criteria to fit on our MPC, since you have to live in the community or within the town limits to be a member of the MPC. Jerry Hillier's put his name forward, and with his background in construction, and also being one of the people in our community that's recently been through the development process to build a new building in that, when I asked him, he was very interested in sitting. So he's put together his application. It went to the MPC at our last meeting, and the recommendation from the MPC was to appoint Jerry to a 4-year term on the Municipal Planning Commission. So, but that does require a motion from council.
Okay, any quick?
Can I make the motion to appoint Jerry Hillier
You sure
as a
can.
Member-At-Large?
Okay, so Will moves this one. Any discussion on Will's motion? If not, we'll call a question. All in favor? It is carried unanimously. Okay, thank you. Moving on to the community update on the community sports
Words.
courts.
So everybody's had a chance to read the, this came about from council putting a motion forward to do a development plan and cost estimates. So what we did is we approached SEMA to put it out there to groups that they work with to actually get proper cost estimates and that put forward. And looking at it, they put together basically a 2-phased approach. One is basically putting down the courts in Memorial Park, where it was discussed with council. This again is just preliminary plan, so this is for council's information. The phase 1 is basically just laying the 2 sports courts. It doesn't include the building, any of the landscaping around, or any of that. The cost estimates that were put together, you can see for phase 1, the total cost estimate with contingency and everything was $430,000. From the report, we have $215,000. 200 is donation and 15 in grant. With this, now that we actually have actual cost estimates, Bonnie can go ahead with applying for grants to see if we could fund 100% of them. But again, this is being brought back to council for your information on whether whether it's something you move forward with, any of those. And to be completely honest, administration needs more time. We know based on conversations from the planning session, if it's going to cost money, it's probably not something that we can move forward with right now. So Bonnie said the timing of this is great to see if we can put it out for to see if we can eligible for any more grants. As she put in her report, she's approached the Kinsmen to see if they could get sponsorship with them for a matching, and which we could match with the grant funding that we currently have in place, which gets us closer to doing it if it's something that council wants to move forward with. So based on that, at this time, because it was on our books to bring back to council for years, the recommendation at this point, it would be if you guys would just want to receive this for information, and then direct administration to look at other grant options before ever looking at actually go ahead to start the project.
How long have we got before we have to spend that 200?
2024 is the 200, the condition on hand. So it does give some time.
Yeah, okay.
The project has to be finished or started?
It has to be started. That was the condition of the donation.
Sure.
So
And Stu did put in there, or Bonnie did ask, excuse me, Stu on the maintenance of it, because I know that's a concern,
Yeah.
because it's something that ongoing, and he said that, you saw it in there, it's $1,000 is what he estimates maintenance is approximately. Now, there will be some maintenance that they do there now, that will not be there theoretically, so it would, kind of change it back and forth. Because if you have courts theoretically for the first little bit, there'd be less maintenance, but as the courts deteriorate and age, then their maintenance goes up, so.
Yeah, his current maintenance there is, of course, grass mowing and trying to keep the wall in shape and those sort of things. And that's where the discussion, if the phase one is purely just putting down the bases and the fences around the courts and the painting, then the courts themselves, when Stu looked at it, relatively low maintenance costs.
Yeah.
When we put in, if the rest of the project were to go forward, we got, the odd circumstance that we got all grant funding that we could afford to do the entire project with the bathrooms, the eating areas and all that stuff, that comes with significantly more maintenance when you start maintaining washrooms and those sort of things during the summertime. So he wanted to make sure that council was very aware that, for the phase one, the maintenance will be fairly similar or, to what we currently have. But if we go ahead and look at phase two with washrooms and that, there's significantly larger amount, because now you have to have staff in there cleaning them every day and those sort of things, so.
Also, in phase two, I was kind of disappointed that they didn't talk about widening that street
Right,
in phase two.
on Memorial side,
On Memorial side,
right,
especially because the building's on that side.
so the parking will be
The
on.
the majority of people don't like to walk more than 10 feet, so they can go and exercise. I was hoping that they would, widen that street along that
That edge.
edge onto the boulevard,
Yeah,
so
there's
that
room for angle parking there, there's definitely.
there could be if we widen it.
Yeah, if we widen the street out and put angle parking along there.
But, I had hoped that the engineers would have suggested that in the proposal to widen that, if they went with phase two, not phase one maybe, but phase two where you're gonna have more permanent structures there.
Yeah,
One of the things also for phase two, I hope that you all had a chance to look at the numbers that are contained in there. Stu also mentioned that the majority of phase two, other than say the building itself, a lot of that can be done in-house, because it's mostly landscaping, those sort of things.
Sure.
Things that we've done,
Park benches.
things that we've done before in different parks and that. And one of the suggestions, aside from this, was rather than full-blown bathrooms and that sort of thing, if it's a meeting place and a shelter, there's a lot less expensive shelters that can be put in place that they can be done. So, all those things for council consideration. Again, administration's not asking you to move forward with this. We're asking you to accept it for information, that you're basically saying that continue moving forward with it at Memorial Park and see if you can get grant funding, and if we can secure that, then we'll bring it back to council to see if you'd like to tender the project or.
So we need a motion for this to go forward?
Yeah, so what I've put together is is a recommendation that if council would like, the council can receive the community sports court update report for information and direct administration to explore additional grant funding options for phase one of the project.
I'd like to make that motion.
Any other questions or discussions on Cole's motion or on this project at all? Okay, if not, I'll call the question in favor. It's carried unanimously. Okay, moving on to the next one, which is the Community Lions Pool Concession.
So we put the concession out for expression of interest for people in our community to run the concession. We had two applicants. They went through the facility, both went through the interview process. And as you can see from Bonnie's report, after looking at previous experience and some background on both candidates, Peter Wallace stands out as a good fit for the operation there. He's retired in our community and has done work like this before. And so, based on this, we are gonna have to enter into an agreement with him to do that. So the recommendation from council after community services doing the background checks for everyone and seeing who would be a good fit is that there's a recommendation that that council consider awarding Peter Wallace, the contractor, on the pool concession for the upcoming season, and then the exact quote because we need wording for an agreement, is that council directs administration to enter into an agreement with Peter Wallace to operate the Vulcan Lions Community Pool concession for the 2022 pool season.
Okay, Martin, move on. Any discussion?
I just wanna know, that does he have his food services, like, do you know what, like, is it just hot dogs, we still have to have?
Right, so at this point, he's looking at doing prepackaged food and then determining on usage. So if he gets a bunch of people asking for, say, hot dogs or something, then he'll look to see if he expand. But he's gonna start on prepackaged and then see how it goes from there.
And it said here under the general implications that if he's awarded the contract, he will get required general liability insurance and certification.
Yeah, I saw that, I just wondered if he had, and prepackaged, I would, could be maybe salads and sandwiches, but I wasn't sure what he had in mind.
Yeah, it might be, and as of right now, he was focused on prepackaged, so that may be getting it from a secondary vendor and bringing it in, but.
I was just, have one question, is there any expected revenue from the town's end of this?
We never have
Yeah,
before.
okay.
So we, in the past, the most successful that we've had for the concession was the longest running would be the Rise and Shine.
Yeah.
And they ran it based on just recovering their costs and giving experience to their staff, so.
Yeah.
And there has been different groups in the past that have run it, but it's usually a 1 to 2 year period, and then they came and went. And Tom, you probably remember Colburn did it for a while.
There was quite a few, and we did try lots of different ones where we kind of rented the area to them. And then usually partway through the season, they came back and felt that there was not enough revenue there to
Yeah.
even, so I think that it was more of an opportunity to
Yeah.
see something there for the people that come than it was for something there to generate revenue for us as a municipality.
Are we gonna expect any like kickback with families being allowed to take food inside the pool, and then, like for Peter to say, well, I'm sitting and doing this, and, are we gonna get any kickback?
And that's the hope, is he understands the system right now, and his hope is that they're gonna purchase food from
Okay.
that as that goes forward. And to be completely honest, yeah, like Tom said, we've been through several different incarnations of this. We've actually had it closed for a season where we actually just took the pop machines from the arena, dumped them over there on the ground, those sort of things. And really, the feeling from community services right now is that give him the opportunity to get in there. If he's very successful at it, then there's the possibility about talking about rent in the future, but really, because we didn't have anybody last year, this is more of an opportunity to get somebody in there, hope that they're successful, and then they'll continue to do it in the future. Or when somebody else sees that they're successful, possibly we could have other candidates looking for it in the future.
Peter's fireball, there's no doubt about that, so.
Okay, Judy had a comment.
We do allow people to take food into now,
It-
that was new with this new pool?
It is.
So why did we allow, because I didn't think pools allowed.
They have to stay inside that designated area, and that was part of the original development plan for that is one of the draws for outdoor pools was to get people to come and spend the day, not obviously last year with as busy as we were, but on a normal year, under normal operations, the idea is to get families to come and spend the entire day at the facility, and that includes being able to have a place to sit down and have lunch.
Cole, sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Cole had one.
I was just gonna make a comment, I think it'll help draw people in, having it there, like you say, if somebody's gonna be there all day, if you can get food right there, that's a bonus, right? So,
How, I'm thinking of both things as a line in as a counselor, how's the barbecue? Does it need any R&R, like some?
No, it's in pretty good shape.
Okay,
It gets
so-
used regular enough that,
Okay.
and it gets used more for community events and the rentals, so.
Yeah.
And the coing operated seems to be working on it.
Okay.
It's still fairly well.
Perfect,
And,
thank you.
Okay, The only thing was this ad put separately from the lifeguards, or were they put together when it talks about that there was 2,000 views on Facebook?
I'd have to ask that question.
I was just curious, I
And-
just thought that was
and-
pretty decent to see that there was
Yeah.
2,000 people, you know, at
Get
least viewed
interested.
it, whether they just viewed it and, you know, reject, but yeah,
Yeah, and I could ask that question.
I was just curious if it was
and
put
get an answer
together,
for sure.
so, but anyway.
Bonnie may be watching at home and could send me a text
Well,
message.
well, that's okay. I know on the ad in the paper, they were side by side, so,
Yes, yes.
but again, you know, it's still pretty impressive that there was 2,000 people, at least there was a hit on it that many times.
And anybody that sat and watched swimming lessons with their children going through swimming lessons with multiple kids, you spend a long time there, so being able to get a snack or something's gonna be great for the facility.
Okay, so, go
I
ahead.
think also if we have lineups, like last year, it'll do,
Yeah,
that might be great for business,
Yeah.
for the concession.
Absolutely. Hopefully he does well.
Yeah.
okay, so we've got a motion on the floor, any more discussion? So we've got a motion from Barbara to proceed with this. Okay, call the question, or do you have a question?
No.
Oh, okay, all in favor, sorry.
It's quick
It's
hands.
carried. Yeah, it's too quick.
Sorry.
Well, that's okay, I just didn't want to cut you off if you had a question. so. Okay, thank you. Moving on to committee reports. So we have,
So, and I'm pretty sure that the previous council had seen the August 5th meeting minutes from the airport committee, but because council's new, we put them in back to back with the latest meeting so that everybody was up to date with what we did. As you know, the Flying Club has entered into an agreement with the town and the county for the operations of the airport, and so at the meeting of February 24th, we were actually able to pay the remainder of the bills and to turn over the funds from the committee to the Flying Club and get them on their way.
okay, sounds good. Any questions on the airport one? Okay, moving on to the Marquis Foundation. Any questions for Judy on that one? I know she brought most of this up already, but okay, and then next one is fresks. Okay,
Is that, sorry,
go ahead, Judy.
are they talking about going private dispatch, Will? No? Okay. I was wondering just the way it was worded and I couldn't.
So, which part are you talking?
I didn't write down the letter, the number here. Maybe it's the last one. Contract regarding a call management system, so just the way it was worded, I just thought, oh, are they going, because I've heard word that they're upset that some people are looking at going private, so I just want to know if we were going private, but that, the motion at the end,
I mean, it's not exactly public, like, it's not a provincially funded dispatch system, FISC. It's funded by all the municipalities that are part of it, so
okay,
it
gotcha.
kind of is private.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions for Will on that one?
I'm right, like, this, yeah.
The last one is the MPC draft minutes of February the 22nd, so. Any questions on that one at all? There are some organizations that don't send us minutes, so if you go to one of them, and I'll pick on one that's quite easily pick on, is the Water Commission. We haven't had one since October. So if you guys go, if you could bring us at least the, it's not the minutes, at least the,
Good summary.
no, I mean, you guys bring it up, but again, us being part of any organization, it's kind of nice to have the minutes. Go ahead, Judy.
I've been on a couple committees and they don't want draft minutes going out in case there's some errors or something, so they will only send them, for example, Marcus will only send them after they've been approved.
Yeah, and I, you
Because
know,
I've asked.
yeah, no, we can argue that with them too, but yeah, I understand it to a degree, but, to be honest with you, I could go to any Marcus Foundation meeting and take notes and put them on the internet instantly, and, Marcus Foundation has no recourse.
Yeah.
Because it's a public meeting, because it's public funding.
Yeah.
So I understand their philosophy to a degree, but it's a pretty small degree, in
Yeah.
my opinion.
Well, nobody ever goes, so I guess they don't worry about that, right? So it's not a, yeah. But that's just their,
Yeah, no, and again, I
Yeah.
understand it to a degree, but, you know, again, it's like anybody could come here and, you know, and that's why, another reason why, Karen tries to get your minutes out as fast as possible, so that you can get the corrections back in, so they can be corrected and sent out as fast as possible.
We post our meeting minutes from the majority of our minutes as unapproved
Mhm.
and that way, anybody that goes on and looks at them can see that they're not
Yeah.
approved in them.
But, you know, I appreciate, you know, some of their philosophy, but again, it's appreciated on a small degree, in my opinion. Okay, anything else on any of those four? If not, somebody wish to move those? Okay, Judy, thank you. Any discussion on Judy's motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question in favor. It's carried unanimously. Thank you very much. We'll move on to the councillor reports. Councillor Magnuson.
Well, I had a few meetings over the stretch here. MPC meeting, we just looked at the draft minutes for it. Just like everybody, we had the discussion over the recreation agreement with the county. And then a week later, we had the special meeting amongst ourselves, really moving forward with or steps forward with the recreation agreement. And then, once again, you saw the minutes, I also had the airport committee meeting where we shut her down for a while. Oh, and I guess one thing in MPC, it's something that we're probably is gonna come to council is regarding rates, utility rates for home businesses. I think it's something that MPC is gonna bring for council to look at, and maybe it's time to go over and review them a little bit, because there's some inconsistencies there, so try and get everyone on the same page and get more consistent, I guess. That's all I have.
Okay, any questions for Lyle? Hearing none, thank you. Councillor DeBolt.
Pretty well the same as well as, we had the county meeting, went over the rec. Then the special rec meeting we had on the 22nd, had the airport commission on the 24th. As far as the water commission, the previous month, a lot of the discussion there was over auditors and picking an auditor, and then discussion into future rates increase, not decrease, increase. But that's a good year away yet. And so it was basically around that, wouldn't you say, Cole?
Yeah.
That's pretty well it then.
Okay, any questions for Richard? Hearing none, thank you, sir. Moving on to Councillor Smith.
You good?
Okay, well, you were at a couple of ones too, the special meeting and the rec too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I guess.
Yeah, that's fine, no. Any questions for, like, I know Will's, you asked the one from Judy for the fresco, and I know that you got a couple coming up, so,
Yeah, I have a couple coming up here, but I think the first meeting was before our last council meetings.
yeah, so. Okay. Thank you, Will. Moving on to Councillor Sanderson.
Okay, so on the 15th, the joint town-county, 22nd, I had a morning meeting with the contractor, or consultant, I should say contractor, consultant, and our chair and and Gloria from Marquis, and just went over the presentation and tweaked anything, and then that was presented to the board on the night that we had our meeting. And I signed checks there today, and I guess the board has approved to, because it's not costing anything, to move forward to see, so the building committee will be called in here. Gloria will be setting that up, I guess, in the near future. So on the 24th, I had a golf meeting, and there was a question, who asked me the question about the red-orange squares that you are
Barbara.
on the poplar trees? So that wasn't us that marked those trees, it was actually Fortis. Fortis, yeah, because they're a nuisance tree to them with their wires, because they grow so big. They're a nuisance tree to us because of the strong winds and the branches that come down, and with the walking path right there. So Fortis, like they usually do, will top trees. They're quite impressed with the work that the golf course has done on the trees already on the golf course, and how neat and well cleaned up and everything is. So they will take it down to a certain point, and if the golf course wants to take them right out, then that's up to the golf course. So that's why they're marked, because they need to be taken down. So if anybody asks, when they did plant those, it was elms, poplar, elm, poplar, elm, poplar, and they say, well, when you take down the poplar, it won't be the first year, but after that, the elms go, oh my God, and spread out, and it'll be like a canopy. So it'll actually be quite pretty once they start to grow. So 2023 is the golf course's 100th anniversary. So we have 2 projects lined up for completion for the 100th, which will be revealed at the AGM. I didn't think I should do it here because cameras going, oh, so the AGM is April 7th at 7 o'clock, if anybody's interested on that. Scott, the new director of golf, has been busy the past 6 weeks that he's been here. Him and his wife are just so excited to be in Alberta, and he's done a lot. They're gonna have, so if you go out golfing, you'll be able to pay with your credit or debit card out on the golf course. So you'll be able to pay at your tables, there won't be lineups going into the bar. So I know that was a big complaint from a lot of people, so. And both the capital expenditure and operating budgets were approved by the board that night as well. And that's it for me.
I've got one question. Going back to Marquis, you're mentioning the building committee. Are they seriously gonna go ahead and build in the next 5-10 years?
It's, we can't say seriously, because it's all, the board has to make a final decision, but
Okay,
is it viable?
yeah,
Is it viable to proceed?
yeah.
And if so, and we'll, Tom and Kim are on the building committee as well,
Yeah.
so we'll, once that happens, we'll be able to find out more what's,
Okay.
because it will go to CMHC, and because they'll do most of the loan lending on it.
Okay,
So it'll be a Marquis Foundation loan.
thanks.
Okay, any other questions for Judy? If not, thank you. Moving on to Councillor Coffey.
The meeting with county and town, to discuss the recreational agreement, and the special meeting I attended, at council. And other than that, the health and wellness, as well as the, Vulcan regional response to elder abuse committee, that meeting was also canceled this month. So, yeah.
Any questions for Barb? Thank you, Barbara. Okay, Councillor Dunham.
I attended the rec agreement meeting between us and the county and our special meeting. And other than that, I haven't had any meetings. Going forward with the water commission, I will request minutes, and if we don't get them, I'll take notes. And as long as somebody proofreads them for me later, so I don't embarrass myself, I don't mind having them in, so. But yeah, that was it.
Okay, thanks. Any questions for Cole? Thank you, Cole. Same with me. I attended the 2 rec special and the rec one with the county. And then I also attended a 3-day, well, it's supposed to be a 4-day conference with Alberta Care in Lethbridge. Alberta Care is it's the smaller municipalities that get together on recycling portion of, and so it was pretty good. They had a tour of the Lethbridge landfill and how it works and what they've done. They built a new cell 2 years ago, I believe it is, and they've got room, they figure, for 12 years. And they recycle. Well, we also went through they call it this one there, I thought it was a dirty MRF, but it's a clean MRF, where a dirty MRF is all mechanically operated, but this one here is a clean MRF because they have people pulling out garbage and pulling out papers and sorting it too, so it goes through machinery, but so when you're recycling in Lethbridge, and they also take recycling from Coaldale, Medicine Hat, and somewhere else. But anyway, it all gets dumped onto a floor, and then this loader picks it up, puts it into a chute, and then it goes up through a couple different processes, and then, like I said, so it employs about 20 people inside that building. It was shut down, which is good because you could hear, but on the other hand, it would have been neat to see it work, because it's got magnets and pull out the tins and all this type of stuff. So it was really quite neat, and they have sales for everything. They sell everything except for he called it vinyl plastic, which is that real thin plastic that's on something, that wraps around like it's almost like cellophane type thing. He says there's no sale for that, and there's no sale for styrofoam. He said none at all. So he said that they bale it and they store it. He didn't say what they did with the bales, but they bale it and store it. And then they also are recapturing their methane off their site, but they're just flaring it right now because they want to know the quality of the methane. Because methane has a tendency to, something like propane and natural gas, to dry out the motors so bad that they can't make cogen off the methane. So they're testing it. And then the next day we went through another company that takes what the heck's it? Clean Farms, and they take egg plastic, and they recycle it. So any egg plastic, except for bale plastic, the bale plastic. It's a different material. It's not like the regular stuff that they use on a grain bag or the one for the hay. But it was really quite impressed anyway. And then they also take string, like binder twine, as long as it's clean. Now, clean is different than what we normally would say clean is. It was pretty dirty crap. But anyway, he showed us how they take it, and then they took us around to how they do paint cans and everything that it's unbelievable. Like he would take a 45-gallon plastic drum like the town got, or the waste, or the water commission got, throws it in this machine, and it comes out big chunks like this, and then they take that and put it in another machine, and it's just like that's smaller than rice, and they crumble it. But anyway, and they have sales for just about everything too. So it was really quite impressive. And then we went through the hollow plant, and where they build the hollow garbage trucks, like they're usually the 1 ton or 2 ton truck. It was really impressive. It's a 4th generation company.
Really?
Which was really impressive. And so they took us through and showed us how it worked. Again, it was after hours because of none of us, there were some ladies there with high heels, and so most of us doesn't have safety glasses or anything, so they had to wait until the plant shut down. So we didn't get in there until 3:30, but it was really impressive.
That's in Lethbridge?
That's
In
in
Lethbridge,
Lethbridge.
yeah.
All the trucks are built in Lethbridge.
And they also make the trans stores, and they make the garbage bins, and they make everything. It was really quite impressive. The guy was really a good tour guide. But anyway, I was really quite impressed. I couldn't make it to the Friday because I had 2 SAWA meetings on Friday, one with an executive committee and then one with the SEWA committee. The SEWA, the only major thing that we're kind of waiting for is grant funding to move forward. But we did start 2 other committees in SEWA. One is on the transportation side, and the third one committee that we're gonna have is the one on the waste. They're not gonna call it characteristics, because we did a characteristic study, but you know, what has changed, the population changed, and how it's changed, you know, the amount of tonnage that there could be out there for garbage. So that's probably it for, but we had 14 people show up for it, which was pretty good. And that was it for me, but, the only other thing on CARES, is that they had to bring tour buses out of Calgary, because there's all the tour buses, the bigger ones in Lethbridge have gone under.
Really?
Yeah.
Of what?
Yeah, like they couldn't get any Lethbridge tour buses, which is really kind of sad, because, you know, some of them were holding on just by their teeth before COVID, and then COVID hit. So they said that anything smaller, but the bigger ones, the bigger tour buses, like, you know, the old Greyhound style
Yeah.
type side, there's none in Lethbridge, I guess, now, so, which was really, I was really sad to hear.
There's party buses,
Pardon me?
there's party buses.
Well, that's
Different
that's all
conference.
they said. The company was out of Calgary, and
Oh, would it be 19?
That's a completely different conference, well.
21, okay, 21 of 4 days.
I was just disappointed that the Port Lethbridge, you know, lost any of their bigger, you know, buses. Because of
the city.
But anyway. So if there's nothing else or no questions for me, we need somebody to cut. I'll move the council reports. Okay, any question on
I'm sorry.
Lyle? He moved the council reports for information. Any discussion on Lyle's motion? Hearing none, we'll call the question. Those in favor? And it is carried unanimously. Okay, thank you very much. Now, moving on to administration.
As you can see, you've all had a chance to read the report. The only one that was from the outstanding was the bringing back the sports courts information from September. And we completed everything else that was from the last meeting. So unless there's any questions on anything that's outstanding.
Okay.
Move on to my CEO
Yeah,
report.
move over to it, please.
Well, obviously, putting the meetings together was a pretty hectic 2 weeks. But we were able to, I was able to get updates on the Lions Club projects that they're working on. Gave some information to Little Boy Resort on the water usage inquiry that they had. SEMA Plus and I have been working on, obviously, a couple different things, our industrial subdivision, plus the information for the county industrial subdivision. I've got the strategic planning priority list consolidated now, so we'll be able to look at that here fairly quickly. Meadowlark Way, the development for the lots in there, looks like they're gonna be moving forward sooner than later, which was nice to hear, so I've talked to their condo association, let them know where we're at with that. Did some letters of support. Again, special meetings, putting stuff together for the special meeting for the MPC, the rec, the airport meetings as well. I attended a webinar, obviously, for the budget, and went through afterwards and went through each one of the departments and looked at their individual budgets, and it was pretty straightforward, nothing unexpected in there. Formal meetings of interest. Talking to the developer again on the recreational side, it's postponed a little bit, and based on some business transactions he's doing with his partners, so that stuff should be done here in the next week or so, and so he'll be able to bring a proposal together, hopefully solely on his own. So. And yes, unless there's any questions on the rest of the meetings that were there. Most of you were at most of those meetings, so that's that's my report.
Okay, any questions for Kim? If not, we entertain a motion. Barbara? Okay, any discussion on Barbara's motion? Hearing none, call the question. In favor? It's carried. Thank you very much. So now we need a motion to go in camera. Will
He's just gonna hold his hand up all night, that's all.
Will moves us in camera at 7:45. Any discussion on Will's motion? Hearing none, call the question. All in favor? You're officially in camera, so Kim will show you.
So I will
Move.
Zoom in on Will's crotch.
zoom in, or will, and I will.
And the mute's off, so we need a
Mic's
motion
on.
to move out of in camera. Judy. Out at
8:30?
8:30. Okay, any discussion on Judy's motion? Hearing none, I'll call the question. All in favor? It is carried unanimously, so we are out of in camera. So we have created a motion.
I'll read the motion out loud for council. So the one that's been put forward through the in-camera was that council directs administration to collaborate with the Vulcan County Administration in order to draft an agreement for the purpose of facilitating the sanitary sewer infrastructure tie-in of the Vulcan County Industrial Park to the existing town of Vulcan sanitary sewer infrastructure and lagoon system, as per the terms discussed in closed meeting of council, and this agreement be brought back to a future meeting of council for consideration.
Judy?
I'll make that motion.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion on Judy's motion? Hearing none, call the question. Those in favor? It's carried unanimously. Okay, so, excuse me, we need one more motion. Will moves that we adjourn. Those in favor? It is carried, so we're officially adjourned, and Kim asked us if we wouldn't mind staying for a couple
I'll
photos.
just